All right, I'm on the Facebooks or the YouTubes, and I'm getting on the Facebooks. Make sure. Yeah, that light's in the way. Come on, let me do that. Leave it off. What's up? Okay, we're gonna share in a group. Sorry, YouTube guys. I'm getting set up on Facebook right now too, so we're going to go ahead. And get set up. Try to monitor both groups at the same time. See what's going on. Use my trusty dusty microphone over here. Make sure you guys can hear me. Let me turn that down. So, thanks for joining me. I'm gonna have to try to set up my lights a little bit better next time to make sure. Hopefully you guys can hear me on YouTube because you're on my iPad, so it's a little farther away. Let's see. Let me turn this the other way. Well, it doesn't like it that way. I'm trying to see. I can see the chat. Somebody say something in the chat on YouTube so I can see if it's working. Hey Gary, thanks for joining. I'm going to start doing these every Friday, I think. Even though it may be short, I'm just going to do this so that I can let you guys know what's coming up on the weekend for the video and give you guys a chance to ask questions. Hey, my wife's here. Hello, Mrs. Wilson. Nice to see you. And I want to, what happened? It's not going to let me share the screen. It was setting up where I could actually share the screen. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you say something in the chat. Hello, Gary. Good to see you. I promised you I got a video I got to shoot with your sauce. Gary Bixler is the owner of the Farm Sauce. Check it out. They have it on Atlanta Grill Company online. You can check it out. It's very good. My son Spencer would pretty much drink that stuff if he could. So I'm drinking grape juice that's been fermented. But happy Friday. Hope everybody's having a good start to their weekend. I know if you're on the West Coast, it's a little early, but I'm kind of bummed that this was not letting me share my screen because it was looking like it was going to set me up to, I was going to be able to do that. And I was going to try to share some stuff with you guys about some of the stuff I'm going to be talking about in the podcast that's coming out on Sunday, and then also the video that's coming out tomorrow morning. The video that's coming out tomorrow morning is going to be the first one, I think, where I did an actual cook on the Woodwind Wi-Fi, the Camp Chef that I recently got, and we're going to do some St. Louis style ribs. And I Did not sous vide them first. I just wanted to play with the Woodwind Wi-Fi with the new smoke control and the Wi-Fi control, just to see how it would do on its own without using sous vide. Actually, they turned out really good. You'll see on the video tomorrow. I played around with the smoke control, made some adjustments on the fly with my phone, went across the room, went in my office, so I knew that it was actually using Wi-Fi instead of Bluetooth, and it was flawless. It worked great. The new PID controller on the Woodwind Wi-Fi works great as far as controlling the smoke. I could definitely tell I had it set up to the level 10, which it goes from level 1 to a level 10. And I could tell that the difference in the smoke was a lot different, a lot more. So I can tell that that PID controller really makes a difference in the Woodwind Wi-Fi. So on the older model, you know, a lot of people use the smoke tubes for, you know, to add more smoke to the Woodwind, because most pellet grills usually they burn the pellets at a hotter temperature than you would get maybe if you were cooking something in a regular smoker. But most of those charcoal smokers, especially, or electric smokers, they smolder the wood, which it's more of a dirtier smoke. It's got a lot more pronounced smoke flavor to it because of that, because it's got a lot more impurities that are attaching to the meat. But with the new Woodwind Wi-Fi, it actually, you can control the smoke, and it'll actually will smolder those pellets a little bit more using that PID controller. So you can actually get some of that, you know, more pronounced smoke flavor than you would if it was just a straight pellet grill. The Camp Chef Woodwind, or the Camp Chef Smoke Pro that I had prior to this one, did not have the PID or smoke control, and you could definitely tell a difference from that one. I would have to put, you know, if I wanted something really smoky, I would have to put a smoke tube in there with some extra pellets. So check out that video tomorrow, guys. That's gonna, just like every Saturday, it's gonna post in the morning, but I will do a walk around, complete walk around, and you know, kind of go over everything with that grill on a separate video. I'm kind of trying to play around with it some more before I do that, so I can point out anything that, you know, any of the weaknesses I see in it and any of the strengths that I can find out without, you know, being blind. So I'm putting it through its paces. I'd like to, you know, give it another week or so before I do that kind of video. But the ribs came out great, as you'll see tomorrow, but make sure you check out that video. And if you have any other questions on the Woodwind Wi-Fi, go ahead and ask them. You can ask them in the Facebook group. You can send them to me through email at fireandwater, the and watercooking.com, or at gmail.com. So, or you can message me through the website, through Facebook Messenger, what have you, through the Facebook page. But so far, I'm really liking the Woodwind Wi-Fi. I had a couple little glitches here and there when I first got it and updated the firmware. It takes quite a long time when you first get it to update that first update for the firmware. It does take a little bit of time, but you just got to be patient with it. Anything that's electronic that, you know, has software running it, you're going to have to, you know, occasionally do some updates to it. Everybody's used to that now. Your phones, your TV systems, pretty much anything that runs with Wi-Fi or any kind of you know, program control, you need to update the firmware. And these pellet grills that are controlled by Wi-Fi are not any different. So, but once you know, like I said, I had a couple little glitches here and there. They were corrected really quick by Camp Chef, and I'm very happy with it so far. I haven't had any issues with it. So make sure you look for that video tomorrow. On Sunday, I have a real special guest. I've been trying to get on here for a while, and it was Brett Galloway. Brett Galloway. He is the president and the co-founder of the Steak Cook-Off Association, known as the SCA. They do the steak cook-offs all around the country. That's not, they're different than the barbecue competitions, but they're right now the only association that strictly does steak cook-offs. And they've actually got, I think he said they're almost going to do almost 500 steak cook-offs this year. They started about 6 years ago. Brent and his partner started about 6 years ago, and I think the first year he said they did 14 or 15, and just throwing it out there. They said that they got so popular. It's grown so fast in the last 6 years that they're international now. They have them in Australia, New Zealand, Europe, Canada, of course, South America. They are all over the place, and he said they're going to do like 500 of those steak cook-offs. So check out that on Sunday. We talk about how they got started, how fast they've grown, kind of what they look for when they're judging these steaks. If you're interested at all, check it out. They do a lot of these in conjunction with, regular barbecue competitions as well. So you got a lot of these guys like Malcolm Reed and Cosmo from Cosmo Q, and a lot of these other big barbecue competitors actually do these steak cook-offs. So they're getting really popular, and a lot of them, like I said, they like doing them because they're one-day events. So they don't take up your whole weekend. They don't cost as much to get involved. The steak, whoever's holding the event actually provides you with the steak, so you don't have to worry about that. You can show up with a Weber kettle and just your car and not have to worry about, spending thousands of dollars on a cooker or anything like that. So it's actually, a lot, from what I understand, it's a lot easier to get involved in, a lot, quicker, because they only hold them for like a one-day event. Usually they're done within 7 hours at the most, and people have a blast at them. So check out that on the podcast on Sunday. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, you can find the Fire and Water Cooking Podcast anywhere you listen to podcasts. We're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, pretty much anywhere you can listen to a podcast. And you can also find it on my website, fireandwatercooking.com. There's a link to the podcast on my website. There's also, I have a website through my Buzzsprout podcast hosting site just for the podcast as well. So if you just, Google search for Fire and Water Cooking Podcast, you'll be able to find it. But it's also pretty much anywhere you find podcasts. And that's been growing really quick. Like I said, I've been having some great guests on. I got a couple others that I got in the can already that you guys are going to be excited about. I can mention the names, but I'm not going to tell you what we talked about. One of them is Jess Pryles, the maker of Hardcore Carnivore brand and rubs and classes and all that. She's pretty popular. And I just did another interview with Meathead Goldwyn from Amazing Ribs, where we did pretty much talked about his new sous vide Q book that he put up on Amazon that you can find a link to in the Facebook group. So that's all coming up in the next couple weeks. But that's about it, guys. If anybody has any questions, they want to talk about things, go ahead and let me know. I'm going to try. Can't see what's going on with on YouTube here. Oh, there we go. Now I see him. There's really nobody chatting in there, but well, thanks for joining me, guys. Hopefully you guys tune in tomorrow to the YouTube channel for the YouTube video. Also, make sure you check out the podcast on Sunday. If you're not already following along, hey Lloyd, good to see you. Lloyd's been on the podcast a couple times. Lloyd does some really good experiments with sous vide. He's very knowledgeable in sous vide. On the podcast, I had him and Kevin Little on a couple weeks ago, doing some really advanced sous vide techniques, talking about some of that stuff that people normally don't get into unless they're really crazy like me and Lloyd and Kevin, where we get really deep into the sous vide, seeing what we can do with it. But it's some very interesting stuff. So make sure you check out the podcast, because we've got plenty of good stuff on the podcast. I'm coming up on 50 episodes on the podcast. Actually, I think Meatheads that I just did was number 48. So we got we're coming up on almost 50 episodes of the podcast, and I'm very happy with the way it's been growing. We're getting lots and lots of listens every week, which I'm just flabbergasted that it's taken off as well as it has. It's actually done better than the YouTube channel. So, but thanks again, all you guys who follow along on all of the social media outlets: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, Instagram, podcast. I want to thank you again, and make sure you keep following along with us. If you have any questions, like I said, if you got anything you want me to discuss on any future podcasts, or you want any kind of video you'd like to see me do using sous vide, always make sure you can go to the website fireandwatercooking.com, and you can shoot me a message through my email there, and I'll always open to doing any kind of special request videos or anything like that. So, but thanks for following along. Make sure you watch the video tomorrow on YouTube and listen to the podcast on Sunday. Thanks again, and I'll let you get back to your Friday night.